Hi, St. Mark's. I'm going to play two pieces for you today by William Byrd, an English composer who was likely born in Lincoln in 1543. He at some point moved to London and studied music with Thomas Tallis before taking his first post at Lincoln Cathedral. Thomas Tallis was the director of music, essentially, for the Chapel Royal. William Byrd's father may have been Thomas Byrd, who was a gentleman of the Chapel Royal in the 1540s and 1550s. The gentleman provided music for services that the monarch attended. William Byrd lived in a rather turbulent time in England. He was born late in the reign of King Henry VIII, and he lived during the religious whiplash of the English Reformation. Henry VIII decided that England needed its own church and needed to sever ties with Rome, and Mary I came back a few years later and said, nope, we're Catholic again, and then eventually her sister Elizabeth I took the throne and re-established the Church of England. William Byrd began writing music in his teenage years. The pieces I'll play for you today are likely examples of some of his earliest music. William Byrd's teenage years were during the reign of Queen Mary I, a staunch Roman Catholic. Some of William Byrd's earliest choral music was written for the Sarum Use Mass rather than for prayer book worship. William Byrd's first appointment as the organist and master of the choristers at Lincoln Cathedral gave him a larger salary than usual, and he was also given the use of a rectory at Hainton in Lincolnshire. In 1570, Byrd became affiliated with the Chapel Royal and may have become joint organist of Queen Elizabeth I's chapel along with Tallis at this time. The Chapel Royal was not a building or a room in a palace. Rather, it's a body of clergy and choristers who moved around from palace to palace with the monarch and provided for the religious needs of the court. I was able to find a drawing online of what the gentlemen of the chapel may have worn during Byrd's time. Here you go. The two pieces I'll play for you today by William Byrd are both called Miserere. The first one is in 3 parts or voices, and the second one is in 4 parts or voices. Both of these pieces are based on the antiphon Miserere mihi Domine, used in the office of Compline, which was very popular as the basis for pieces between 1450 and 1650. In these 200 years, Byrd, along with John Redford, John Bull, Thomas Tomkins, and many others, produced nearly 3,000 pieces based on this chant. The chant sounds like this. Miserere mihi Domine, et exaudi orationem meum. The text that goes along with this chant translates, Have mercy on me, O Lord, for to you I pray all the day long. For you are forgiving and mild, and abundant in mercy to all who call upon you. While this chant was used throughout the year at the office of Compline, it seems especially appropriate during Lent when we focus a bit more on penitence, as well as prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Now, I've read that modern music theorists and music historians speculate that if he lived today, William Byrd might be the greatest jazz musician because of his experimentation. You can hear a bit of this in these pieces that I'll play for you today, with his rhythmic treatment, especially in the first piece with its 6/4 rhythms, which sounds like this. So you have 6 going on in one hand and 4 going on in the other hand. And it kind of goes back and forth in the context of the piece. You can hear a bit of harmonic complexity that you don't hear in many forms of music today, by his use of cross relations, which are in some ways similar to the blues notes in jazz. In the simplest terms, a cross relation is when one voice might play an E flat and another voice would play an E natural. You'll hear this in the second piece, but let me play that measure for you specifically. It's right there. It's kind of funky. And there's one measure in this second piece that has two cross relations. In one voice it plays a B flat, and in the other it plays a B natural. And also there are F naturals and F sharps. So this measure is a little funky to modern ears. You will also hear a lot of imitation in both of these pieces. An imitation is taking a musical idea, stating it in one voice, and then stating it in another voice. So for example, right at the beginning of the second piece, we have lots of points of imitation. So the top voice sounds like this. And then the tenor voice sounds like this. It's altered just a little bit for the chordal structure. And then we have the upper voice that says this. While the tenor voice says this. So they just play off of one another, and they'll say similar things, but maybe not exactly identical. As a harpsichordist, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the collection these pieces come from. They come from what is called the Fitzwilliam Virginal book. And in modern notation, they come in two rather large volumes. These two volumes contain a vast collection of harpsichord music from Elizabethan England. No one knows exactly who collected and bound these pieces together into a single folio. But we do know by the 18th century it fell into the hands of Viscount Fitzwilliam, who gave the collection to Cambridge University, where it is housed at the Fitzwilliam Museum today. I was lucky enough to visit this museum while I was visiting Cambridge in 2019, before the pandemic. And while I was there, I saw many pieces of music, but unfortunately, the Fitzwilliam Manuscript was not on display. I did see a couple of harpsichords, though. Now, the word virginal sounds a little weird to modern ears, but the word virginal actually refers to a type of harpsichord. And rather than having the keyboard at one end, like my harpsichord is, a virginal has the keyboard in the middle, so over there somewhere. I'll show you a couple of pictures. Now, personally, I wish I had a virginal. As much as I love my harpsichord, I think a virginal would fit in my living space a little bit better. But I love what I have for now. I hope you enjoy these two Misereres by William Byrd from the Fitzwilliam Virginal book, and we'll see you soon.
Uh-oh, you're evaluating my work.
I am.
Are you subscribed?
I will with the red button.
And give us a thumbs up.
I'm a fan, of course.